bounce. Y'all gotta pardon me tonight. I feel like a superhero up in here.
Hey, and welcome to iHeart Intellectual Radio, Chronicles of Rohm. I am your host, Alan J. Campbell, aka the Batman, here on iHeart Intellectual Radio. Hey, it's good to be back. And first of all, I want to say this. Yesterday was Mother's Day, and I appreciation. And this is also too for those who have baby mamas. Show the love and appreciation because you all, it is what it is. It is what it is, people. It is what it is. It is what it is. Also, a shout out to my two guys, my best friends, whose mothers have passed on. It's a difficult time for them, and also she was like a mother to me, and it's a difficult time. But anyway, I want you all to try to keep that in mind, that your mothers are important. They are the second in command, or the backbone in relationships or family homes. Now, I'm going to jump right into a couple of things. Right now, there's a story out of Texas, and see, this goes into tonight. This also ties into tonight's show. There's a story out of Texas about a 4-year-old girl by the name of Malia, who is missing and has been missing since the last week, the last week of April, and she was left with the mother's boyfriend. Now, this story is all too common. Now, his story, and if you have sure, look it up, fact check. His story is that he was accosted by three Hispanic men driving a blue pickup truck. They overpowered him, knocked him out, and took the 4-year-old girl. But supposedly he had his 1-year-old son with him, but they didn't take that child. Now, this guy, his story is that he was unconscious for 24 hours. He doesn't remember or have any recollection or remember anything. Okay. Upon hearing that story, I just knew there was something just didn't fit. It just didn't fit. Moving on, he began to stop cooperating with police, and now the investigation has started to ramp up. They've actually arrested him, and he's been charged with tampering with evidence, namely a corpse. Now, they're not saying that the child is deceased, but strong evidence is pointing in that direction, because he's in jail right now, held on $5 million bond. Ain't nobody coming to get him. Now, his story. Now, the mother's story was that she left the child with this man to go to a funeral. Now, I'm going to sidebar for a moment I'm talking about that. This is one of the things to where, when I talked about on the last show about how we operate as men and women, how we operate as black men and black women. And sometimes the union does not mesh, because ladies, I implore you, I need you all to really understand and listen to this. Ladies, you cannot leave your children. Now, understand, your children. Granted, we know that when people go through, there's going to be numbers of relationships, and then there's going to be a relationship, and then there's going to be a relationship. Okay, and there's a difference. And I know some of you are really scratching your head and say, okay, I'm gonna just cut to the chase. The difference is, okay, you are involved with someone and you all are kicking it, doing your thing, your ooh la la or whatever. But then as that proceeds on, a child or children comes out of that. Now, when there's nothing really coming out of that, it's just relationship. You're just involved with somebody. You just kicking it or just booty in the room. But then sometimes that changes because now children come out of it. So now you are in a no. So now you are that is a relationship. It's a relationship because now there's a third party. You all created this individual. Now, aside from that, let's talk about the ones that already have children, and then Mr. John Doe comes in. Granted, not and this is not saying that each and every individual is like that, but ladies, you have to be somewhat aware, somewhat cognitive of who you bring around your children, who you have around your children. You really have to take that in consideration. Okay, and there are some women who will not introduce their children to anyone until they know that there's a full understanding. And then there are some women who introduce their children to every to every excuse my language, but every swinging dick that comes through. And you cannot do that because going back to the story, this is not the this child is not this is not his child. This 1-year-old child, this 4-year-old child named Malia is not this man's child. So there's no vested interest. Now, you have to, when you start, and granted, you can't trust everybody, but then it's a point where you have to trust some people. But ladies, you have to be more selective in who you leave your children. First of all, be more selective on who you have children by. Okay, and that goes the same, and that goes the same for men too. You have to be more selective on who you have children by, or as they say, be careful who you be careful who you have children by, because it can be a bombshell that you cannot escape. Trust and believe. Trust and believe me on that one. I've seen it. But when you continuously throw yourself out there, or you just continue to be a baby maker, nothing good is going to come out of that. And then you got different men rotating in and out of your life and rotating in and out of your children's lives. There's to be a point to where you have to learn to be selective. When you becoming that, as one of my callers said, as Georgia says so affectionately, he calls them the loose boot Tashas. Okay, and in saying that, his referencing that, hey, some of you all, and this is true. Let's call a spade, as my grandmother would have said so often, that you know you just can't do this. Some of you all have so many people running through you. It's like the red line at rush hour at 9 o'clock in the morning, and you have to really start to manage that. Now, when I started this portion of my show about vertical stimulation, this falls into that. Okay, and we have to understand what we need to be doing and how we need to go about it. We have to fully understand that. Once we begin, first of all we have to understand who we are. First of all, we have to understand that, men, we have to understand our roles. We have to understand our position. We have to understand what our titles and duties are. We have to be, and that starts with being a good steward of the relationship or the home. Being a good steward. That means that you are overseeing every single thing. You're overseeing every aspect of the home, of the relationship, of things that you and your mate conduct or interact with. Ladies, now the other part, there's a point to where there's a level of obedience and submission, and not like the and not the and not in the and now remember, now as we said before, submission and obedience, it's not in a overt type of way to where My word is law. No, that's not what it means. It's a matter of that the level of submission and obedience means that is there's a level of honor and respect. Now, granted, I know some women out there, well, that swings both ways. Well, yeah, but see, once again, you feel the need to elevate yourself above him or compete with him. That's what the problem is. That is what the problem is. We spend too much time competing with one another, trying to reach the same goal, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. As I say, teamwork makes the dream work. And we have to understand that. We have to understand that it is teamwork. This is how and this is directed, and this portion, and this what I'm my next comment is directed at the fellas, directed at the fellas. And when I say dream work, I mean teamwork makes the dream work, fellas. I said in my I said in my last show closing, what I wanted you all to do, and I hope some of you did this. I really, really do is I hope you sat down and you talk with your significant other, your wife or the wife or significant other, because some of us are way past the term of girlfriend or boyfriend. We're way past that. We're not teenagers. We're not even young adults anymore. We're mature adults, and so me saying boyfriend girlfriend is kind of cliche. No, it's significant other or whatever title that you choose to use. But I hope that you guys sat down. And as I said, sit down. You all sitting down, you face to face, and the man, you are talking to her. You are conversating with her. You are trying to reach her. You're trying to stimulate her mind. You're trying to reach her inner parts by the conversation, the way that you talk to her, by the tone that you talk to her in. You're letting her know that she is you are reinforcing the fact that she is a human being and not a dog. Reinforcing that she is a human being and not a piece of meat. Reinforcing that she is a human being and not just somebody you just happen to be sleeping with. You are letting her know that that you value um her opinion. You value her ideas. You value her as an individual. When you're sitting there and you're conversating, you're talking with her, and you're letting her know, listen, sweetie, listen, baby, we trying, what are we trying to do? What do we need to do? How do we go about this? Because see, once we understand how to work together, then we can enjoy the journey to getting to where we want to get to, whether the next level or wherever it may be. The idea is it's like going on a road trip. It's not, are we there yet? Are we there yet? And I reference that as to where you will have individuals and you will have women, and I gotta say this, you will have women saying, okay, when are we getting married? Well, first let's understand who we are. Let's look at everything that we need to put on the table. Let's understand. First of all, let's learn to communicate while we're standing on our feet, because it does us no good to jump the broom if we can't communicate. It does us no good to jump the broom if we haven't learned how to work together. If we haven't learned how to solve problems together, solve them, coming up with a solution. It does no good to do that. We have to fully understand. And unfortunately, we have gotten so wrapped up in society's way of doing things. We've gotten so wrapped up in watching these TV shows on how they feel that how we should conduct ourselves or how we should act or the direction that we should be going. Like this BS that's on TV right now, The Bachelor, then The Bachelorette. Look, that's not even real. This is just some scripted sugar honey iced tea that's put in a time slot to fill ratings. This is not real. Then you got this other program, um, uh, from lock up to love or something like that, where you got convicts falling in love. You got women falling in love with convicts. Come on now. I mean, really, you know, you can do better than that. That makes no sense. It makes no sense, and it is not reality. None whatsoever. We have to learn how to um to balance things in the relationship. There has to be an equilibrium. Everyone has, it's an old saying, if you want to play lumberjack, you got to carry your end of the log. Doesn't there's no other way. There's no other way. No other way to do this. And fellas, if you're sitting down and you're talking to her, and you are explaining things to her on how the mind of a man works, where it works, a man's mind works mechanical, and a woman's mind is more emotional. It's more response. It's emotions and responses. Men's minds are more mechanical and deliberate. And when I say mechanical, is because we see things in a um systematic way, a blueprint, a a machine type of atmosphere, and we once we look at the machine, we try to figure out how to make improvements, how to run it. And sometimes as men, we have to remove emotion. We have to remove our our feelings from certain things in order to have a clear view of what we're trying to do, a clear view of what we are trying to do. You know, so, but and just a side note, I'll just let you know that the phone lines are open. So if you have a comment or you want to join, you have a comment. Let me rephrase that. You have a comment that you want to put out there, just give me a call here at the station at 708-223-8953. That's 708-223-8953 here on iHeart Intellectual Radio, the Chronicles of Ron. So once we understand this idea, and we're able, and the biggest thing, and I'm for and and I'm gonna be real, keep it real. Most men do not have the ability to communicate, and that's something that we have to learn, because some of us, sometimes men have been put in positions to where they've been forced to shut down. They've been isolated. They've been forced to shut down. They've been even some have been emasculated to where now they're trying to juggle certain things on how to do and how to manage. Once you learn how to do that, and then you're able to convey it to your partner, then you all can work together. You can work together. Ladies, when you are in a relationship, think about this for a minute. And I know, and I know it's very difficult to not do, but sometimes, ladies, sometimes you can become so over anxious for a lot of things to happen or that you want, till sometimes that becomes you become fixated on that, and it kind of it kind of becomes irritating for a man, because he's thinking, is that all you think about? There's more important, you're thinking there's more important shit to think, other things to think about, or what we need to be focusing on, or what we need to be discussing. If you all have children together, or if you have children, whether they're yours or not, they play into children play into this, and you have to look at that. You have to manage that. You have to understand that, ladies. One of the things that you have to understand too is when you are in a relationship with a man, and you may have children already when this man comes into your life. Make no mistake about it. And hear me clearly. This is the part of understanding the vertical part of a relationship, the vertical stimulation. This man is, if these are not his children, he is in no way, shape, form, or fashion obligated to communicate, interact, or do anything for them. He is not obligated to do that. Now, I know some of you have, you probably give me the stank eye, or right, give me the stank eye. Guess what? Get in line. But that is the truth. That is the truth. That is the reality. If this man decides he wants to do anything with for your children, that is a luxury. That is not so much as out of the kindness of his heart, but that is a luxury, because he is taking he's taking this into consideration, that they are an extension of you. Granted, totally understand, but don't think that he's obligated to do that. If you come to him and say, well, hey, I have a financial problem, blah blah blah, well, naturally, if he does something for you, that he's doing for them, but he's not obligated to do anything for them. It's not to say that, he's being a jerk or anything of that nature, but that's the reality of it. And vice versa. Fellas, if you come into a relationship, your woman comes into your life in this relationship, and you have a children, and you have children, a child or children, well, the thing is that you make it clear, hey, listen, you make it, you all get the understanding, okay, hey, I got a baby mama, or a couple of baby mamas that I have to deal with from time to time, that I'm going that have to or going to deal with, so on and so forth. There are points in times where sometimes you may, and that person that comes into your life, they may feel like you're neglecting them, because they feel that the children's mother is, takes precedent, or she's number one. It's not about that. It just happens. She just happens to be number one at that time because of certain things that are going on. That's the whole thing. And everyone has to fully understand their position and their place. You have to learn how to juggle these things. You have to learn, and that's the part of where communication comes in. And it comes in. There's some men who do not introduce their children to everyone. I myself, I didn't introduce my I did not introduce my children to everyone. I didn't do it. You had to, um it was of my choice to do that, because I felt if that this person was of quality, that, hey, this is a person that, hey, I want to introduce, these are my children, so on and so forth. But at the same time, there were a lot of them, that there were several people, whether it were man or male or female. I didn't introduce my children to, because I didn't want. They just were not. That just wasn't for them. And this is what you call being very, very selective. Very selective. This, like I say, and this goes into the story of what I began with at the top of this individual, this woman with this man, and left her child, who wasn't his, in his custody and care, and now the child has come up missing. This is what I'm talking about. You have to be very selective. You can't introduce your children to everyone. You have to be, you there's a point to where, as a mother, or supposedly, certain little uh red flags or bells should be going off, to say, okay, something's not right, whatever the case may be. And then there are some people who hide things very, very well, until it's, sometimes until it's too late. But this is one of the things to where, unfortunately, too many of us have taken on men. Too many of our women have taken on men who are absolutely no good for them, who not only are no good, but who mean them no good, who mean them no good, who will blow through the money, blow through the food, uh, blow through your stamps or SNAP, whatever, and then at the same time sitting there with a pocket full of money of his own, and won't even offer, won't offer you a crust of bread or money for you to even get your personal female products. But you love him. or he's brainwashed you into a point to where or where he has stripped you of your self-worth. He has stripped you of your self-esteem to make you believe that nobody else wants you. So I'm going to continue to beat you down. I'm going to continue. If we go back and see how this indoctrination began, it began in slavery, and we have carried that ideology to present day. To present day, fellas. As I said at the beginning, as I said before, that when you are with someone that you care and love for, you treat them as a human being and not as a dog, not as a piece of meat, or not as just somebody that you can just get you can get your rocks off on. That's not even being a man. It isn't. None whatsoever. I don't care what you say. And ladies, you have to understand, ladies too, ladies, you got to realize this too. When you feel less than a human being, when this person makes you feel less than a human being, why do you stay? And that's just something that just behooves me to no end. If this person has belittled you, has destroyed any type of self-confidence or self-esteem to the point where you don't even feel like a human being, you feel at you feel like you have no self-worth, why do you stay? That is the key question. Hey, you all, it's the bottom of the hour right here on iHeart Intellectual Radio, the Chronicles of Ron. We're going to take us a little break, and I got to pay some bills. Hey, Nubian Beauty, check out Nubian Beauty of Hair. Check out their fabulous products at their website at luxuryhairdirect.com/by/Nubian 4 dot, and remember, put the dot on the end of that 4. And if you are hungry, get your booty down to Captain Hook's, 85th and Cottage Grove, 103rd and King Drive, and 15922 South Kedzie in Markham, Illinois. Get you some of that great fish, chicken, shrimp, and sides. Hey, we'll be right back here on Chronicles of Ron.
Atomic batteries to power. Turbines to speed.
Roger. Ready to move out.
These niggas think it ain't crazy out here. Now bounce. Yeah, I got a part of me tonight. I feel like a superhero up in here. When it's been, they gotta hit him, gotta get him like new shit. They call me Batman, cause the black mask is on my face. Gun up on my waist, suited in them black case. I'm looking for some hood rats that I take to the back cave. Y'all lame like blank man, while I'm steady serving them like pistol on my utility belt. Like, yeah, I keep my identity to myself. Like, you don't want me to grab that thing from the shelf. Like, I call them Robin, cause that's my only help, right? Okay. Y'all hit my back.
IntellectualRadio.com. Feed your brain.
Feed me now.
Hey, and welcome back to iHeart Intellectual Radio, the Chronicles of Ron. I am your host, Alan J. Campbell, aka the Batman. Hey, you know what I'm gonna do? And now the second part of my show, I'm going to switch gears. We are going to talk about something that is going to affect us, and I mean affect referencing black people, and this truly is going to affect us if we don't get our heads out of our asses. And trust me and believe, we really got to get on board with this. If a lot of you are not familiar with the Census Bureau for the United States, The Census Bureau basically is the entity that uh, counts that takes count of the individuals in the United States in different cities, different towns, different states. And what they do is that every decade, the last census count was in 2010. We're right around literally 6 months 6 months from 2020. And it's hard to believe that I'm actually saying that right now, is that we're 6 months in. I mean, 5 months in, but we're just 6 months away, into 2019. And we're just literally around the corner from the census. Now, what this is that the United States takes a head count. The best, for the slow people in the room, that's as dummy as down as I can do it. They're taking a head count of everyone in all 50 states. Okay. Now, here's the scary part about this. They're actually trying to enact a provision, not a law, but a provision that will allow, I kid you not, people that are incarcerated and illegal immigrants to be counted. Okay, here's the problem I have with that. I have no problem with the inmates being counted because some of them are United States citizens. What I have a problem with is that you want to allow illegal immigrants to vote. You want to allow them to be counted. Basically, that's saying that it's the idea that we're going to count. Well, you're on a train, and we're going to count everybody on the train, including the people who didn't pay, so we can see how much money we actually collected. That doesn't make any sense, none whatsoever. So, with that being said, is that okay, you have individuals who have immigration status or illegal immigrants, but you want to count them. Now, I'm going to tell you, I need for you all to listen to what and why. This next election, when it comes in 2020, the census and this election are going to go hand in hand because it is primarily going to affect Black people. And I say that because we are systematically being eliminated. We are systematically being erased from history and society. Systematically. Okay. If you don't believe me, look around you. If you don't believe me, look around you. A lot of social programs you no longer have in Black communities, but you have them in the brown people community. You have them in that because the whole idea is that the brown people have been placed in front of you. Their needs and values come before yours, and some of you and most of us are American citizens. But once again, we are not recognized as American citizens. We're not recognized as that. The census also plays a factor in how much money a state gets for its operations, for its programs, for its agriculture, for its infrastructure. This plays a huge factor. And the biggest thing is that a lot of and the Republicans are actually against this, to having illegal immigrants counted. And I strongly agree with that because it's an inaccurate count. These are people who first of all, who shouldn't be here and have no right to be here. First and foremost, if you didn't come, it's like if you come to somebody's house and you come in through the back door, they got every right to whoop your ass because you don't belong there. You didn't come in the right way. If you come in through the front door, or what they call the proper point of entry, meaning that you came in through San Diego, Ciudad Juarez, or the town near McAllen, Texas. You came in through Tampa. You came in through Miami. If you came in through the legal port of entry, you're not gonna have a problem. None at all. Just last month, and this is in the month of April. Just in the month of April, Custom and Border Patrol had an influx of illegal immigrants crossing the border. That number, 65,000 illegals had crossed the border in a month. 65,000 is roughly a small city, a small city, a small municipality. But yet and still, these are some of the individuals that are being granted asylum, that are being given money that should go to Americans. This is why this is why there's such an outcry and uproar on having to get this thing, that the immigration situation under control. The census also dictates how much money law enforcement gets. It dictates how much money your schools get. It dictates this. In order to have an accurate count, you have to have people who are what? American citizens. You have to have an accurate count so we can see where this money needs to be going to. And see, what happens is that if the excuse me, if there's not an accurate count, that means that certain communities that are already underserved will be completely washed out, because there's no accuracy, none whatsoever. It's a relatively a simple process. You just have people, what they call census takers. They come out and they want to know how many people are in the home. Now, on the census now, right now, they're actually waiting for the Supreme Court to rule on this, which from my understanding and in my opinion, that's when, like I said, it's only my opinion, but from what I'm reading and understanding, that will rule in favor rule in favor of the government, because you have primarily because of the Constitution. Now, what's in front of not Congress, but what's in front of the Supreme Court right now? Can they want to put your immigration status on the census form? What they're asking: are you an American citizen? Now, there are some proponents to say that, hey, that's invasion of privacy and that's illegal. Well, how is it illegal if you came here illegally? You're breaking the law, and and not only that, but you are actually rewarding these people for breaking the law by saying, we're going to give you amnesty, we're going to give you food, money, shelter, medical. I'm sorry, we're the only country with weak borders. You cannot sneak into Canada. You can't sneak into Russia. You cannot sneak into Japan. You cannot do either or. You can't sneak into any country without some form of repercussion, and serious repercussion, because you're looking at prison time, upwards to 10 years, and some places upwards to 10 years plus hard labor. You come here in the United States, you sent to a detention center, and then you're processed, and then you it's what they call, this is one of the reasons why Trump wants to do away with what they call catch and release. And for you sports fishermen out there, if you all know what that means, catch and release. And for those who don't know, who still, for those who still got the football helmets on, catch and release means that they caught him, you caught an illegal immigrant, you processed him, and then you released him back into society with the promise that he's going to show up in court. You're never going to see this guy again. That's the point. That's the thing of where he was referencing the catch and release. He wants to get rid of chain migration. Chain migration is also a disaster. Thank you, Obama. Thank you, Clinton. They created this mess. The chain migration means that you could have a family of 4 that are U.S. citizens, but they can file paperwork for visas to bring upward to bring upwards to 10 people to the United States. And they would not, and they could come right through customs, by just the mere fact of signing their name and saying that they're going to show up for processing. There's people that's been here 20, 30 years and don't have a visa and has been here illegally. They're bringing their entire families from whatever poverty-stricken, war-torn country here. This is why some of this has to go. This is why the census is very important, because we need to know who's here. Need to know why. First of all, why they're here. We need an accurate count. So when you start passing out money, Congress, this money is going to the right people. It's going to the right districts. It's helping the infrastructure build. And when I reference infrastructure, infrastructure is the maintaining of your roads and bridges and railroads. That's what that is. Okay. This is needed. This money is for your schools. It's also for your law enforcement. It's also for your hospitals. It's also additional money for your municipal governments. But if we don't have an accurate count, it's basically finance. If you run a corporation, you run a business, you want to know how many people you have so you can allocate that money properly. That's what the census is and does. The unfortunate part is that we have been so underserved, and we're not, and some of us are not even being counted. And that's primarily because we don't read, we don't understand the process, and some of us choose when we don't, and some of us choose not to learn the process. These things are vital and they are important. They are. So when the census process begins, which is slated for 20, because like I said, the census is done every 10 years. Every 10 years, they want to know how many people. And like I said, and on the form, and like I said, this is, and I repeat and I reiterate, there is a form on the census that is asking, are you an American citizen? What happens is that people who are not American citizens are not going to fill out the form. So therefore, there's a problem. So that then what happens? A state might get maybe the actual count may be off, because why? You have individuals whose immigration status is in question. And at the same time, these are some of the same individuals who are getting the money and the grants that rightfully should go to you. That should go to you for your businesses, for your schools, for your children, for the roads in the towns or cities that you live in. But it's being wasted and thrown away. As an old saying, as the saying goes, tossing pearls before swine. This is what is happening. And we have to, and once we get a better understanding, and when you receive this form, whenever that may be, read it carefully. And there's going to be a number on there. If you don't understand it, pick up the phone and call someone. You don't even got to do that. Google it. We got Google now. Don't take my word for it. Google it, and it will give you a full breakdown of what the census is and does, and how it is, and to a point where you benefit from it, where you benefit and how you benefit from it. We have to fully understand that. There's a point to where we as Black people have to wake up, and we have to start taking back what belongs to us. We have to take our communities back. We have to take our schools back. We have to take our families back. We have to. There are things that we have to sidestep and eliminate, because once they've already devised a way and a plan to keep us at a disadvantage. Okay. And we have to fully understand that we're at a disadvantage the moment that we are birthed into this world. Strike one, you're Black. And for men, we already have strike two because we're black and we're male. They've already figured out, well, they can't legally kill us, and get away with it like they used to, according to the tale of the telltale tape. So what they do is that they start introducing certain things. Here's another little tidbit, and this is a sidebar off of the census. When when years ago, which is and which is one of the reasons that I really, and I'm glad I didn't. I know I know everyone is familiar with the baby formula, Infamil. Now, what they were and see you have to understand a lot. Here's the thing: when you got to put baby food behind a counter under lock and key, it's that should raise red flags. Who puts baby food behind a counter and under lock and key? Well, one of the things is that there was a substance in it called fentanyl. Okay, and fentanyl um, creates a level of violence. And that's one of the reasons why fentanyl is illegal now. And they knew this when they were inserting this. And one of the things that also thing they create, and also too, there was another additive, which was a estrogen suppressant in the formula. So one of the things that you have to look at, I want you all to really, really think about this next thing I'm about to say. When the drug companies and the FDA started creating this, there was a couple of scientists who saw and knew what was going on, and how what they did is that they tested it on lab rats, and they saw how lab rats became aggressive. There was a lot of aggression. And then they began to test it on other animals, and saw how certain animals went from female to male, and some went from male to female. It began to reverse the genetics in these animals. So think about this for a minute. Years in when they had the Infamil and all this other stuff out there. Think about this. If it was doing this to animals, and what do you think it would be? What do you think it would do? It was doing to your children that you were feeding this to? If you look at some of these children now, some of these individuals now who came up during that era, who at that age or at that certain age, at the level of aggression, the level of our young boys who display levels of femininity. See, it's a lot of things that we don't know, and that this government wants to continue. They're slowly but surely trying to eliminate us. They're trying to wipe us off the face of the earth and remove us by any means necessary. Any means necessary. This is why I stress that you have to pay attention to the signs. The census is our doomsday for Black people. Because trust and believe, we will be undercounted. We will be undercounted. If you think you're struggling now, if you think the struggle is real now, wait till the census is over and they start divvying up the spoils of war. Trust me when I tell you this. Trust me and when I tell you this. But hey, I see in the distance the lights are flashing and the helicopters are in the air, which means that is my time here on iHeart Intellectual Radio, the Chronicles of Rohm. I hope you all enjoyed the show. I hope you got something out of it. And, don't take my word for it. Do your research. Fact check a lot of these things on what they're doing and what they're robbing you of. And like I said, and I can't stress this enough, the census is doomsday for Black people. Trust me when I tell you that. If you don't believe me, be on the miss out train. Be on the miss out train. Hey, to my sponsors, Nubian Beauty of Hair, check out their website at luxuryhairdirect.com/Nubian4 dot. Remember, put the dot on the end of that 4. My man Alex, shout out to you, brother. Captain Hooks, 85th and Cottage Grove, 103rd and King Drive, and 159th and Kedzie in Markham, Illinois. Hey, and in closing, not my circus, not my monkey, not circus. Headed to the back cave.
Turbines to speed.
Roger. Ready to move out.
IntellectualRadio.com. Feed your brain.
Feed me now.